Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of The Binding of Isaac Repent, episode 11 I believe. Oh, what have I been up to recently? Well, as you probably noticed, I just went through the effort of updating all of my thumbnails with what I would say is a much more attractive and also documentary thumbnail, because it has actually the numbers. They're all actually distinguishable from each other, because before I was just using that stock image. But you know, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it makes the videos more inviting and just improves the quality of the videos overall, because I would definitely plan on doing these kind of videos in the future. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but let's just get into the run first. We got 4 Mom's Heart victories in our pockets, and I also went through the trouble because I watched some of the previous episodes and I realized the sound effects were rather high, so I did lower them a little bit. So hopefully I should be more, the balance between my voice and the game should be a little bit better now. Yeah, because basically I recorded episode 10 and then it was like, okay, let's do like a what would you call it? Just like a check, just like go through, let's examine what we're doing so far, let's try to improve the quality. But yes, I ended up getting my thumbnail from Fiverr, and what if you don't know what Fiverr is, it's basically a place for you to go and find freelance people to do whatever job you want them to do. So obviously at this point was me trying to record, I can't even talk, like making the thumbnails so glitter bombs. So basically, you know, I gave this artist the specification. I was like, here's what I want. I want Isaac opening the chest, and then a place to put like the number of the video, and then gave him like a reference issue. And I think he did a phenomenal job. I actually don't remember his name off the top of my head. I know he had a little frog icon and he was from Brazil. I do remember that. He was absolutely great to work with. He did like exactly what I wanted him to, and I like couldn't really be happier with the result. We had 7 bombs. I don't know what glitter bombs. I believe is it when they blow up they have a chance to give you money, I wonder. Now we have 2 keys, so we can definitely open one of those. Go exploring. Yeah, but I didn't even say we chose Lazarus, because we haven't played Lazarus in a while. And also there is an achievement for beating you know, Mom's Heart with Lazarus without leaving a life. So if we would be able to do that, you know, that would give us another character, give us more options moving forward, and be just absolutely hunky-dory. So that's what we're shooting for on this run. If we're able to do it, who knows? Let's see. Is this pill gonna? That did nothing. It'll be good to know that we have that pill in the pool now, though, if we come across it later, but did not do much as of itself. That was a very angry looking spider, because those guys just straight up explode. The other one just dropped like throw bombs. I wonder if you could probably lure these guys over to places and try to get the secret room that probably is here. Not here, but we did get a key from that run. So let's go in here. The pentagram, that is a solid start. We started off the game with a damage upgrade. Definitely glad we decided to check up on here. And let's go back. Is there something good in this room that we could grab? Oh, we can grab a bomb for a bomb and a key. That's not really a worthy deal. And we can grab a key. We already have 4 keys though, so I don't think we really need to do that. I think I will open both of these though. We got Mr. Me has appeared in the basement. That was probably for like opening a certain amount of chests or something. Got Spirit Heart, nice. Got more bombs. Really, this run's just like looking good right now. Hopefully I don't have to eat my words later when I was saying that, but definitely let me know if the video quality, like the sound effects, sound better, because I'm gonna also look at that after I record this myself. But I definitely want to know if it's sounding good to you guys, or you think I should adjust anything a little bit, because after all, this is about providing, you know, a good experience, a good entertaining experience. Because you're like, you know, you're taking your time, the most precious resource in the world, tears plus shot speed up. That's good. You're taking one of your most precious, not even the most precious, like the most precious resource you have in the entire world, your time, and giving to me, and I really appreciate that. So I want to be able to, you know, provide a good experience for everybody watching, for, you know, bestowing that opportunity and that gift above me. It really is a gift. You know, I really appreciate everybody who tunes into these videos and actually listens in. So yeah, that's the state of things. So love, and if I do more series in the future, I definitely will try to get more thumbnails. I might like this one was like rather quick because I was just like, okay, I want a thumbnail all of a sudden. So I went out of my way to pay for it, but in the future I might try to find like see if there's a friend that would be willing to do that kind of work for me, and you know, in exchange for some favors or whatnot. Ah, that was bad damage. But yeah, what's else been going on to me? Due to like my stuff that's recently going into my life, I've been really in like I've been reading this book, or rather listening to this book called Severance by Ling Ma, and it's a story of it was written. What's really freaky about it is it was written in 2018, like, or it was published rather in 2018. I think it was written between like 2012 and 2016. Oh my gosh, we should not pick up that spirit heart. I thought we would be able to do a little bit better than just getting hit, but oh, apparently I had too high of expectations for myself. Yeah, but so it's about this infectious disease that spreads from China to America, and you know, people trying to cope with that and live with this, and like, what is this now apocalypse? What is in the book of post-apocalyptic society, but you know, it has heavy carryovers from COVID, and so it's just very interesting. And one of the huge themes of that book, for instance, is the fact that okay, let's not get hit by these guys. Whoop. And let's try to beat the boss without getting hit. That might be a little bit ambitious. We might try to drop some bombs in on them. Let's see who we're getting. Slumpfly. Okay. Okay, that did hit them. Oh! Okay. You know. Oh, shit. Damn it. We lost their spirit heart. That was so... Well, we did get a deal with the devil, but... damn it. I'm so sad. And we got the Book of Belial and Lump of Coal. So they're both damage upgrades, so they're both really good. This is a every 3 room. I think I will... Okay. I will take Dark Matter, because it's a permanent damage upgrade, unlike Book of Belial, which is only every 3 room damage upgrade. And plus I didn't really want, like, if I had the HP to take both of them, I probably would have. Oh, taking that Spirit Heart, which is silly though. Why did my brain was like, I have this Spirit Heart protecting me, I can play well enough, I can grab this now. But like, not was the case. Learned our lesson for the future. Just come back at the end and just grab the Eternal Heart rather than just grabbing in the middle, even if you do have some protection. We do have some hearts on the floor, but I think I will just go into that sacrifice room after we go to our item room, just so we have less of a chance of just accidentally dying, you know, thinking ahead there. But yeah, Ling Ma's Severance is very interesting. So the main question, I would say the main question of the book is, so there's this post-apocalyptic society, but our main character, this Chinese-American, I think 2nd generation American, because I believe her parents moved from China to America, and so, but she has spent her whole life growing up in America. And so it's like, why does she still continue to work even after the apocalypse, even when like the society has collapsed, and you know, there's no reason for her to go to her job, especially what is ultimately a meaningless job. She even knows it's meaningless. She even acknowledges that throughout the book, is that she works to create Bibles. Like, she works with suppliers and whatnot for this book company that creates Bibles, and she's like, but she still goes to work, even in the apocalypse. So the main question in the book is why is Candace still going to work? So it's like, oh my gosh. And there's definitely, and I think with this pain, it's like there's not one, I hope we don't die, because it's such a good run. Oh, these guys are scary. Damn. Well, oh, we came back at Lazarus. Oh shit, did I just step on the spikes again? I am so scared, dude. I am so scared. Oh! We can break rocks for some reason, though. I don't know why we... Oh, I'm dead. Shh. Well. we had such a good thing going, and I really threw it away with that
Shot speed up.
that mistake I made with. Can you push this? Yeah, we can push this. Boop a doop a doop a doop a doop a doop a doop a boop. Hit the button. Wow, we got enemies. So it was like, why is Candace still going to work? And it's just like and the main reasons I picked up on, I'm sure there's more that I haven't, because you know, someone's typing in my Discord if you see that flashing. We have a, yeah, because just a slight tangent. We have a Among Us Saturday I've been doing for probably a half a year now. So this is a spooky room. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. Among Us Saturday, and I think that was just one of the people saying that they might not be able to come tonight, which is a real fun, and it's really a great opportunity because I kind of formed a small little community of friends who otherwise would not be friends. That's the fun. Getting back to the story, I would say the primary two contributors to why Candace acts the way she does is her Chinese American heritage and just like routine. And the routine instilled by the, what is late stage capitalism? What Minimush, speed plus range. Oh, I thought that was going to be a tears up. I got excited. We can't afford anything in there, so we'll just go to Ross. It's not a bad item, though, because now we actually have some range. Basically, she talks about this in the book, and her father especially, and because there's flashbacks in the book. She's currently, I think her parents, I forget if her parents came to America, now moved back to China, or what the actual situation is, but they were talking about how we know these Chinese immigrants and whatnot are just like not accepted by society, like all the xenophobia and hate, so they want to work extremely hard to prove themselves to this country and make the country which they came to, and they have which dedicates an extraordinary amount of you know, love to like put everything on the line and come to this country. And you know, a lot of immigrants love this country, I would say, even more than people that live in the country, because they decided, you know, I'm going to throw away everything. I'm going to throw away all security because I believe what the United States has and the ideals it espouses are how I want to live my life and I want life to be. And I think that requires a much more you know, amount of love than just like being born into this country. And I'm not saying like every immigrant loves, you know, America more than American people. Just you know, born in Americans, 100%. Like, it's a weird even to say 100% Americans, considering it's everybody besides Native Americans is really not like 100% native-born American. And even then, you could even go back further and say, well, Native Americans might have, you know, crossed land to Alaska, but for sake of this conversation and the simplification of it, I'm just gonna call like native-born Americans as people who have like immigrated between like the 1700s and 1800s. Immigrants are people who have like come in the last couple of generations. And then, so yeah, her like immigrant status as you know, as a second generation American, you know, she wants to work really hard to be accepted by this country that for some reason does not like want to accept her and is xenophobic and spreads so much hatred. And this item, by the way, Tech X, is absolutely amazing. And so there's definitely those themes going on. And you know, we definitely saw these aspects in COVID with the increased hatred and xenophobia and hate crimes towards Asian Americans with COVID, and it was definitely not helped along by the fact that, you know, our president legitimized that hate by calling COVID-19 like Kung Flu and the Chinese virus, rather than, and I know because there's specific guidelines put out by the WHO saying that nowadays no virus should identify the area of origin, and it seems to like MERS, like Middle Eastern Respiratory System, has now, I believe, if it was named today, it would not be named the same way. But it's because it had that, I don't know what exactly part of the laser does the damage. Is it the outside? I'm not exactly sure. It does some nice damage, so that's for sure. What was I saying though? Oh yeah, just like, you know, the hatred towards Asian Americans, and it's like, these people legitimately did absolutely nothing wrong. Like, these people are as, like, American you are. They were born here, raised here, and yet just because you're using this opportunity of COVID to, like, try to justify your xenophobia and hatred for other groups because, you know, they don't look like you, they have different, you know, they might have different cultures and beliefs than you. And it's just like, oh, humans and their tribal mindset. It's just completely amazing. But what I was saying about, like, how Trump really justified that hatred by, you know, it provides a lot of credibility to your argument if you say, you know, you're inspired by the literal president of the United States, because then you can say you're not just a crazy person or anything. It's like the president of the United States is, like, is supporting your actions, which is, you know, really saddening and really shows the ways that, you know, the responsibility that presidents and other leaders have to make sure their communication does not lead to that targeting and whatnot. It's just like, we have guidelines, like the government has guidelines based off experience of how to communicate with the public to avoid these sort of things. But it shows that, like, our government chose to ignore them, you know, for some reason, and, you know, I would argue that they ignored them because it pursued a narrative of racism and xenophobia. Other people would, you know, obviously could disagree with me on that point, but, you know, we can both agree that they were not followed because it created that split between, like, between politicians, and, like, you either were with Dr. Fauci and with, like, the science, or you were with the president, and by proxy, like, you were being nationalistic, and it created a split, and those things should not be split, and we know that from experience, because we've made that mistake in the past, and we realized, okay, there needs to be a central figure that communicates all information about a disease to the public that is not a politician. Because guess what? Politicians have a lower... Americans trust politicians a lot less than scientists and other professionals. What I love... So we fart whenever we get a penny. Incredible. So it's like we know from experience the way to handle the situation, and like other countries definitely did a better job at that. I know, for instance, New Zealand, like basically the prime minister would come in, introduce the professional, and then just be like, okay, we're gonna bring on this professional. This is who they are. They're gonna be talking to us about, you know, the disease and what's going on, and then they would just step aside and let the professional take his part. And we just did not follow that in the U.S. and it's just like, oh, why did we not? Like, it would have just helped in so many ways if we actually listened to the advice and experiences that we've had in the past and actually learn from history. Wow, it's a really novel concept, is learning for history and try to work to not repeat its mistakes. But the other part of, like, the book, and this was, so that was like the whole thing about, you know, immigrants and the nature of one of the reasons why Candace might be continuing her job. And the other, I would say, is more general to everybody, and that's the fact that capitalism and really like the idea of a 9-to-5 job, like just middle-class workers, really we ritualize routine. And there's like this middle-class monotony. What I usually say is middle-class monotony and the ritualization of routine. And it's the idea that people become so comfortable in their routine, like, you know, their 9-to-5 job, and it becomes such a large part of their identity. It becomes like such a large part of why they go about their life, is they actually become content in this monotony and therefore want to continue it. And I would say the author, Sling Ma, definitely continues this because people, okay, we just teleported across the map. People infected by the virus, when they are infected, what they end up doing is they end up just continuing their routine. Even in their like zombie-like infected state, they end up continuing their routine. It's like, okay, why you continue the routine? Like, why is that the thing they're continuing? And obviously, you know, stories don't hold truth. Stories like depict a variation of truth. So I'm not saying like because Ling Ma said it in this story, it's ultimate, you know, truth that you need to listen to, like Lingmon knows everything, nothing that we could ever stand. But I definitely seen what Lingmon is presenting in other fashions, like if you know the song, oh, what is the Talking Heads? I always say the same as it ever was. I think it's called Once in a Lifetime though. It's a very trippy video from the 1980s, 1800s, I was about to say. From the 80s, and it's basically, I would say, it's questioning, like, these people are waking up and they start questioning, like, okay, the routine is the way I've done anything, same as it ever was, like, same as it ever was, and like, but why is this the way I've always done things, like, and so you start questioning your life, like, so it's basically this middle life I love one of the comments. This isn't my idea, but one of the comments said, like, this song is like the perfect middle-age crisis song, and it really is. Okay. Power pills.
X-Lax.
And
experimental pill.
Okay, I think we will take this now that we have we got that HP down, because that was not very G. And this is not gonna like this does not coincide with our desire to unlock Lilith, because we have to do it without losing a life, and dying with 9 lives definitely counts as losing a life. But you know, you do what you need to do. We can always play Lazarus on another day and get Lilith. We will, you know. So this is just one of many videos, and yes, that made me think about, like, when I was making the thumbnails, because basically what I had to do is just go through one at a time and change the number on the thumbnail, and then just exported it and then save it as its own thumbnail. So I went out to you're dead. We're alive! We went out. Okay, that's how that item works. You don't. I thought you just had to. Come on out, dude. Come on. Come on. And it's very interesting to think, because I definitely see those aspects in my mom, and I know there was a Dax song that came out, Gotham, that was basically talking about, you know, how middle-class workers, like, just, like, go home, do their work, watch their sitcoms. What this is, I don't know what this is. So we will not buy it. I think it's like, actually, I will look this up quickly. I think it's called, like, Pay to Play, and I pay to play Isaac. He's a passive item. +5 coins. Locked doors now require a coin instead of a key to open. It's now required. Okay, that doesn't seem horrible then. So this pay to play. So now we're able to get into all items rooms with a coin instead of a key. Alrighty then. I probably should have went and charged my spacebar item. And I think another aspect of it, and something I've definitely been thinking about a lot recently, like I said at the beginning of my recent interactions, is that people would rather live a comfortable lie than live in the truth. And they would often, there's such a large cognitive dissonance when somebody tries to bring up the truth and dispel that facade of a lie. We got a bar, didn't we? Oh, I think that might have been in the last episode we got bars, so we can fire very quickly. Well, that's a benefit. Unfortunately, we didn't get to deal with the devil, but it was only a 36% chance, so can't be too salty about that. It was, yeah, the idea that people would rather live a comfortable lie than an uncomfortable truth, and to actually, you know, go on reality. Why this came up is because when I was trying to talk with, like, housing, and it's like, here are the reasons why I believe, you know, the current RA housing dynamic isn't wonderful. And then even when I was talking to my hall director, they were just like, I just got completely dismissed rather than being like, oh, I didn't realize that. Let's have a conversation about this to clear up things I didn't realize. You know, you just get dismissed. Because it's uncomfortable when people have to deal with the truth, don't have to live in a facade. And I definitely saw this, like, when I was a kid with my parents, too, is that, like, my parents were so obsessed with it, especially my dad was obsessed with making it look like we had the nice image of a happy family for appearances. But in reality, there's a lot of issues under the surface we had never dealt with. So what we were living in was truly, a facade. There wasn't like true happiness. It was just peace, temporary peace, because nothing had come up to explode those feelings onto the surface. But that's what ends up happening, is eventually, when you don't actually deal with your problems and you just shove them continually under the surface, they end up just building up, and one day it's just you get the straw that breaks the camel's back, and it comes out all at once as this giant explosion of emotion. And that's when people are like, and my dad's response to that was like, you just need to like let it go. Like, why are you holding on to these things from so long ago? And I was like, well, I was holding on to them because I literally just never had a chance to actually like talk about them and work through them, because they just ended up getting repressed within me, and it's just not a good way to deal with situations. And I would say this even contributed to my long-term breakup too. Is my girlfriend wanted to live in fantasy that their relationship was great and nothing was wrong, and that she was she was doing wonderfully. And like when I would try to have conversations, when like dispelling that fantasy and say there are problems in a relationship that I think we need to work through if we want this to continue in a healthy way. It was just one, she took it as like a personal attack. It wasn't like me talking about the problems that was going on. It was taken as a very personal, like, I'm not good enough. It was very I don't know why I did that. That did not accomplish anything. It was a very insecurity based that I was instead attacking. Oh my God, attacking her rather than the problem at hand, which was this item. We're unfortunately not a great item. I would say Shoop Doop Whoop is better. Mom's Bra, what it does is it temporarily every 3 rooms freezes items in place. But it's so then it was this great, like, my girlfriend was very uncomfortable, my hall director was very uncomfortable, housing is very uncomfortable when I like start to actually dispel that facade and get down and start talking about what I see is actually going wrong that's been constantly ignored. And I don't know, this probably derives from a sense of people wanting to avoid conflict for whatever reason. Maybe I definitely avoided conflict for the longest time, because as a kid, what I learned to do was just blame myself for everything that went wrong rather than cause conflict, because I saw in the instance as a kid, when I just accepted blame for everything, it actually worked to at least temporarily dispel the conflict between my parents. And so I carried that trait into adulthood, and therefore didn't have, avoided conflict. And I would say my hall director definitely does that too. It's like, because I was talking to them yesterday, and I was like bringing up problems that were right now. I was talking about how, but basically they decided to. So we usually have a weekly one-on-one meeting. Just like basically, I think I might have mentioned, just talk about how things are going. Just like as a way to talk about like, what are you doing well? Where are you struggling? How can I help you in the areas you're struggling? That kind of stuff. And my hall director like never brought up during any of these meetings that there were anything wrong. Like they never vocalized there was anything wrong. So it's like I didn't change what I was doing, because like you never vocalized to me that there was something that needed to be changed. Like there was this very like passive aggressive like undertow for what they thought needed to be changed, but they never just came out and said to me like, Sean, like I feel like you're not doing enough in this department, and is there any way I can help you work on this, because I feel like this is something that you need to step up at a little bit. And like if I would have heard that, it would have been like, oh, and then we could have had a conversation about it. But because that never happened, I didn't change my behavior, because like how are you, like as a looking from an employee's perspective, like, how are you supposed to know what you need to improve unless just someone comes out and tells you what you need to improve? Because unless you're told that you're not doing something right, or you're not doing something as well as someone would like how am I, you know, why am I gonna change my behavior? Because I think everything's going a-okay. But when I brought up this complaint I had with them, with this one-on-one meeting, bringing another hall director to it, because I was like, one, that defeats the point of a one-on-one meeting, and two, it like literally creates a power imbalance in the meeting, because it's like you just went from having one hall director, my boss, and one RA, to two hall directors and one RA, which is inherently an even greater disparity of power dynamic. And so I expressed to them, it was like, here's why I think I'm off put by the idea, and it was one of those things again. And I wasn't like saying that, you're such a horrible person for coming up with this idea. I can't believe you'd ever think of something like this. It was just like, hey, I'm a bit off put by this. Here are the reasons that I'm off put by this. And I just kind of, I expressed my thoughts and then waited on the response. And they basically said, like, this wasn't my intention. Like, all in the past, I've been diplomatic with you, even when when you weren't living up to my expectations and not doing as much I would want. Like, I was diplomatic for you and cared for you. I was like, well, really now? So you just basically betrayed your entire stance before, because up to this point, you never brought it directly to my attention. And came to me, and with the potential of conflict, to say, yo, Sean, I don't think you're doing well enough in this department. But all of a sudden that, I just get told, like, I've been diplomatic this whole time, like, you even when you weren't doing enough. It's like, okay, now it's like, how you just like, it's just like being betrayed, basically. Is because basically this person was lying to you and maintaining this facade that everything was going on, like the comfortable truth. And I have a suspicion, I can't know if this is correct, but I feel like they wanted to maintain the facade to make it look like, we had a happy RA family, we were working together as a team, everything's going hunky-dory for sake of like the work report, because the hall directors have to every semester have to reflect it upon to see how their performance is. And I think to make it look to perform well on that, the hall director wanted to keep make everything look great, but not acknowledging that there were things under the surface that they were never actually acknowledging through that process. And that's the really sad part, is like when someone brings the truth forward then and says everything is not a-okay, here are issues that are going on. If people have been instilled in themselves like this fantasy that everything's great, nothing, everything's perfect, nothing needs to be changed, then it's very difficult to convince somebody to actually acknowledge what you're saying is true. And so guess what? They often dismiss what you're saying as false. Or in the case of my hall director, just saying like, basically just like, don't contact me in the future, like by text message. Contact me only by email. Thank you. And it was just like, God, because basically I asked like, hey, there's 3 weeks left. There's 3 weeks left. I have an RA, and it's like I feel like there are these like underlying tension and grievances that we've never had a chance to talk about. So it's like, would you like to have a conversation? Would you like, get everything off our chest? Or not to. And then in response to that, I got, please do not contact me by text message. Thank you. And it was just like, okay, we can't just again completely avoiding the conflict and actually leads to the improvement, because like, I think a lot of people have it instilled into them that conflict is like a purely bad thing, and that was a message that I don't think I even understood when one of my classes, my interpersonal communication class, talked about that exact point to me. Is that conflict doesn't always have the negative thing. Conflict can be a great opportunity for individuals to get on the same page when they didn't realize they were on the same page before. Which I now am realizing I completely agree with, because like, if we would have had this conversation, yeah, we would have been getting our grievances out at each other, and that would have been like a conflict, because it wouldn't have been necessarily a, we would literally be sharing our grievances about each other. But that, oh, the wafer, that is amazing. Basically, it halves all your damage that you take, so even down in the wound, you won't be taking half the damage. So it's just like, it's just very sad, because it's like, what I ultimately want in all of this is for us to have a conversation, get on the same page, and like make a plan for how to work together moving forward. That because in my view, what we've had at this point was dysfunctional. But because people live in this fantasy world and want to live in a society where they believe nothing is wrong, that kind of conversation just can't happen. Because there's no basis to have a conversation about things being dysfunctional if you believe that nothing's functional. And it's like, there's a myriad of parts that I could argue that why our, oh my gosh, we're almost dead. Why our relationship is dysfunctional. The fact, just like the underlying hostility, and there's like in our messages was like, these are enough, and the fact that, the fact that you felt like you had to bring another person to this one-on-one. The fact that you felt like you had to bring another individual to this one-on-one meeting, I think is pretty, a good indicator for me that we don't have the best relationship if you feel like you need to have somebody else with you to have a conversation with me. It's just all very frustrating, and it's like, the main thing at this point is like, yeah, I'm going to be leaving this position in 3 weeks, so I will never see these people again in my life. So ultimately, the stuff that's going on doesn't matter too much. It's like, I want to be able to talk about this and analyze it so that going forward in my life, I can reflect on this, so I cannot engage in those conversations. And it's like, the thing about conflict is there's a way to express conflict in a constructive way. There's like constructive and unconstructive conflict. I would say constructive conflict is the type I was talking about, where it was like, hey, I feel this way, or I think this based on what's going on, like, can we have a conversation about this and talk it through? And then like the other person's like, oh, I didn't like, realize that my actions are doing this for you, like, I apologize, I'm going to accept the responsibility for what I've done, rather than just denying, like, oh, that wasn't my intention for what happened. It's like, yeah, I think it is important that the other person realize, like, when I did this, this is what I meant. But the thing is, what you meant and how things come off are just, aren't necessarily the same thing necessarily, despite what people would like to believe, live in their little fantasy world where what you're trying to say and what the other person interprets is, we have not gotten enough damage upgrade. I hate this coin that makes us fart. But people want instead just live in a fantasy where it's like, oh, what I say and what you're gonna understand is gonna be perfectly the same, and it's like, we do not, as anybody could attest, we definitely do not live in a world like that. But people will definitely, I would say, want to believe we live in a world like that, and it's just like, at some point you have to like kind of give into the pragmatism, like, hey, that's just not how things work, so I can't go about my interactions believing this is true, because it's unfortunately not, no matter how much I wish it was true and how much I can try to work towards it being true in my own life, and I can take actions that I believe, try to pursue my ideal. You have to try to balance that idealism with the pragmatism of, that's just not how things work, unfortunately. But what steps can we take to work towards that ideal, I guess, is the question to ask. It's like, it's not to give up on ideals and just give way to cynical pragmatism. I don't think that's the solution. You know, I don't think that helps. I think we should always be trying to work towards our ideals. But like I said, it's really a balance, and it's like, really in life, you could reasonably say that everything is a balance. Like, the idea of balance is like, too little of something is bad, too much of something is also bad, but there's, depending on the context, you know, there's usually a happy medium somewhere in the middle that you have to try to find. And, you know, it's complicated because every situation has a different definition of the middle and what the middle looks like. So you have to really kind of just learn from experience what that middle is in different situations, and take the time to analyze and think about what that middle is, so that you could actually take actions to pursue that middle. Because I will almost always think that the middle is the more beneficial path and the more constructive path. This is spooky. Boop. Pill. We will take the pill. Tears up.
Tears.
We already had max tears, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but, you know, still. Oh, let's just do that. Man, I wish we just had we have such a good, like, defensive items, and we even have X, which is, like, a great offensive item. We just, like, do not have, like, the damage to that Tech X. That's just the unfortunate thing. But yeah. And so, it was interesting, because I read this paper that was talking about how a lot of the time is, and this actually is an unrelated thought, but one, because I ended up just Googling about the idea of uncomfortable truth, and I read a paper named, like, something about uncomfortable truth, and it was the idea that actually it's not a lack of resources that actually leads humans to have conflicts in the increasingly global and interdependent world that we live in. It's actually the excess of resources, which was an extremely, like, interesting amnesia. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think we will take the lover's card versus the dice, because I don't exactly know what the dice shard does, but I do know what the lover's card is, and it will be useful. And it's in the fact that, like, in you know, countries that do have a surplus of resources, oftentimes this allows, because, you know, the giant bureaucracies that are necessary then to manage the surplus of resources, we will try to donate to Mr. The surplus of resources and just the huge systems necessary to make that work often gives way to humans being able to partake in greedy, self-centered decision-making, which you definitely, I would say, see in America, where, you know, the voice of a certain individual matters more than another individual, considering, like, for example, you know, this is the whole idea of, what are you? This is the whole idea of, you know, like, gerrymandering, where they intentionally try to create these systems that make sure certain people's voices are diminished because they would be unfavorable to their, you know, desires and what they would like to see. And it's just very. And an example of this is, so most of America, and you can look this up, I don't know the exact percentages off the top of my head, but, like, the majority of Americans, like, in a Gallup poll, it was found, like, would support stricter, like, gun safety policies. And when I say gun safety, it was, like, more background checks, closing the gun show loophole where people are able to buy guns from a gun show without having to go through the necessary background check to do so. Like, the majority of Americans support those kind of measures, but guess why they don't get enacted? Because there's a certain sect, aka, you know, rich Americans who have the money to expend, the NRA, that don't want to see that come true. And guess what? So they spend a shit ton of money to make sure their voice has an unequal influence on what happens. So it's just, you know, so that's very greedy, self-serving practices that gives way in countries in conflict that have increased resources, which is an extremely interesting thought, and, you know, it explains why, even though we no longer live in, like, a zero-sum world, but we have a a deficit of resources. We have like a surplus of resources to be able to provide for everyone. Why we still don't? And another argument that the paper made was that increased interdependence will naturally lead to increased cooperation and a decrease of these skills. And they actually didn't use this example in the paper, but like I made sense of that argument to myself by imagining the following. So imagine you're a farmer, and you live in a small community where everybody has specific preferences. So you're the farmer, you give food to the community. You go to the tailor to get your clothes. You go to the barber to get your haircut. You go to the butcher to get your meat, and so on and so forth. And then all these people come to you in order to. I have no idea where to go, by the way. I think I have to go back into this room. And then other people come to you in order to. Oh my god! In order to get their meat. And because of that, there's that direct interdependence on each other, it actually leads to cooperation. Because you're not going to want to screw the butcher over, for instance, because then he will, he might charge you more than the other customers, as well as he might spread to the other customers that, you pulled this shit on him, and they might then all, oh my god, this wasn't the right way to go either. Where the hell do we go to get to the boss room? I hate this amnesia pill. So we have been over here. We came all the way over here up. That was you. So that that explicit interdependent nature leads you to cooperate and not want to screw over your neighbors as much. But then you think of it, in now in the societies, the globalized societies we live to, we don't really have that kind of dynamic, because you just go to Walmart and get everything you need, and you rarely have to deal with the people. If you shit talk your cashier, for instance, it's not gonna affect your future dealings with Walmart. So it's you can just act however brash and brazen you want, because there's no actual repercussions for your actions. Oh my god, we actually found the boss room. Hallelujah, dude. Yeah, so that was just a very interesting. It was just and it was how in theory do you actually bring these ideas to the forefront and actually make them and apply them in the world we live in. And the idea was you can't really do the America first, we're only gonna focus on ourselves. Oh my gosh. Mama Gertie, Mama Gertie, Mama Gertie. I hate the spikes because I can never tell where that was just a bad hit. That I should have easily able to dodge that. The spikes are the worst, because how am I supposed to know where the freaking spikes are coming up from? I just don't know. That, at least with that, I can also being in the here. As long as I stay at the back, use the spikes off. Oh my god, it's I don't know how I'm supposed to react to that, dude. Oh my gosh, okay, let's go in again. I should probably, I want to save my well, if you're wondering why I'm not using lover strike, because I want to save my first fight. Oh my gosh, but I might have to use it here. It would be very unfortunate. Yeah, so the idea is that you can't really do, I don't know what I got hyped from, but I got hyped from something. Can't do the America First movement, because that, by definition, does not increase interdependence, and therefore does not increase cooperation. And they were talking about how, actually, in the world that we live in, we've actually had a global trend towards non-communism, less where we go. Okay, we've had since the Cold War, we've really had I think I will just use this. We've had a trend towards non-wars and actually civil wars, which has increasingly led us to be interdependent on each other, because we actually have to work with each other rather than just fighting with each other when we're angry. And I think China is like the master of doing this because like what they've been doing is that if you've ever heard of their like Silk Road initiative, it basically is to actually cooperate with other countries in order to give them what they want, so then China can get what they want, which is like a outlet to the sea, and so it's a place for trading. I should probably try to kick in some bombs. Oh, we did it. That was just a real unfortunate fight, and we did get an HP up though, which is an additional 2 hits. So that is pretty massive, actually, because we should hopefully be able to have 4 hits going into the Mom's Heart fight, which is hopefully enough. You know, you hope, but you never know with this game, because I could just play like crap, and nothing's gonna work out for me. I think the 9, you know, if I would have known, we would have gotten the wave. I obviously would not have picked 9 lives, because then I would have had like a bajillion HP. So I would have had 5 HP, which would have been a total of 10 hits I could take. I gotta sneeze still. The sneeze is still there, but it's not coming. Oh, there it is. Oh my god, you gotta hate that one. You know the sneeze is there, but it's just refusing to like cooperate with you. Yeah, so that China, I would say, is the master of that interdependence. Is they're actually working with other countries directly in a very cooperative style to get what they want, and I think it has lended itself to China becoming such a powerful country over the last 50 years. They've really had, it's helped by their industrialization. They went through extremely quick, but you can think about it is like, what allowed them to grow really fast was directly the policies they implemented, the ideas that they put into place. So it's like, then theoretically, anybody else could replicate China's success. And I'm not going to say China did everything perfectly by any stretch of the imagination, because basically they took the approach that America did, was that you have to go through like a dirty period of industrialization, a shit ton of greenhouse gases, and in order to get economic prosperity. So it's the idea that you can have economic prosperity at the same time environmental sustainability, which has been shown to just be just patently false. Like oftentimes by improving it, by chasing environmental sustainability, it also has an economic benefit. Because think about it like this: you have like a plant reducing a crap ton of, CO2 and other toxic chemicals. The CO2 isn't a toxic chemical, but releasing a shit ton of toxic chemicals into the population, and then the workers inhale these chemicals and therefore have health problems, based off of the inhalation of these chemicals. And these problems then lead them to having to take extra time off of work, because they have to deal with their health problems. And so that leads to a decreased economic prosperity, because these people have been directly taken out of the workforce. So actually there's a very hidden benefit then to actually pursuing sustainability, because you have a healthier workforce. Healthier workforce is a more productive workforce. More productive workforce equals stronger economy. So you see it's like a very distant path to actually get to. I'm going to shut up here because we get hard. Saying boof reminded me of they had a, the Lucas the Spider had a video come out recently where he was just going boof, 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 boof. We're doing pretty well so far. Why did I say that? Why did I say that? I realized as soon as I said it that it was a bad idea. Oh my gosh, dang it. I hate those goddamn three prongs, dude. This is pretty easy to dodge though, I do not do it very much. Those guys work really well to kill with my Tech X, so let's go. Not when you spawn up there as much, but you can just stand over here. Boop. Tech is really good for hitting all these guys simultaneously. Oh, we have won this run somehow after dying. We have made it through, but so let's claim our 5th victory versus Mom Heart and see what we unlock for doing so. We got everything is terrible. The game just got harder. Wonderful. That is exactly what you want to see. We got no item unlocked, interesting enough, but we did get another victory under our belt. That's nice. But, you know, going off of what I was saying then, this is why I would argue for increasing social security nets. Not specifically social security, but, you know, more safety nets for workers. Because that way, if there's a safety net, a worker gets sick, for instance, they're able to get their treatment they need as quickly as possible. You minimize the time out of their workforce, and therefore you can get them back in the workforce and boost economic prosperity. And then more healthy workers that have access to healthcare as a human right, rather than just a commodity that you can only access if you have enough, you know, capital to do so. If you have a healthier workforce, you're naturally going to get more economic prosperity because you're going to have smarter workers, more motivated workers if they are able to, you know, treat their mental health issues and so on and so forth. So it's like by investing in people's well-being, like investing in the well-being of both people and like our climate and sustainability and so on, you actually get an economic benefit as well. It's not, you know, direct. It's more of an indirect, which is why it can be more difficult to like conceptualize and to talk about. But they're definitely there, and there's an additional part of that just made me think of, you know, a lot of the reason we use fossil fuels is because they're so incredibly cheap. Well, incredibly cheap on the surface at least, because there's plenty of great articles out there when you consider the health repercussions and the productivity repercussions from those health effects and the environmental repercussions from burning fossil fuels. Like, freaking fossil fuels are actually extraordinarily expensive, but from a pure economical sense, they are very cheap, which lends people to use them. So I think it would be incredibly useful if, when we had to buy fossil fuels, if we incorporated those hidden costs into the use of fossil fuels as well as all other, because that's the real way to change people's behavior, is to provide them an economic incentive to do so. Because right now it just, like, from economic perspective, which is so many people rely on, it just doesn't make sense to switch to other forms of energy because the current means we have to produce them are just so much cheaper. So all these barriers to change, man. All these barriers to change, but you change in order to pursue a more perfect life. That's, you know, that's like the idealist in me talking, is like, we are never gonna have a perfect existence because we are never gonna have a perfect existence. That would be great if we can, but we will never have such a thing. But we should work towards creating the most perfect existence that we can, and I believe, you know, some of the stuff I've been talking about are some of the factors to be able to do so. God, that was a heavy episode. But so I hope you enjoyed it. Like I always say at the end of these videos, if you enjoyed the episode, enjoyed the gameplay, enjoyed the commentary, enjoyed any part of it, I appreciate you, letting me know down in the comments what you liked. If you think the audio balance on the video is better, if you like the thumbnail, if you think, and what I can do to improve moving forward. Because, like, again, like I said, I can't improve what's wrong unless people are telling me what's wrong, and it'll be much easier way. Like, I can watch the videos and try to dissect what's wrong, but you guys can more, it would be more of a better representation, because ultimately these videos are made to, like, serve you and entertain you, so I need to know how I can best do that. And if you enjoy the content, I'd appreciate leave a comment, like, and subscribe on the video. But until next time, I think we'll go back in. Oh, we got a new screen because everything got harder. I'll probably look up what that means, and so I can just describe it at the beginning of the next video. But I think we're gonna go to the challenge, back to the challenges next video, into highbrow. So until next time, everybody. See ya.